Welcome to Entitled,
Yes.
where we're going to be talking to the leaders and entrepreneurs in the real estate industry throughout Greater Phoenix.
Yes.
I'm Bernie Espinosa. I'm your co-host, along with my partner in crime, David Bellinger. And so, with no further ado, I only have a couple of questions. Are you ready to rock and roll?
I am so
and
ready to
how many
start
Red
this.
Bulls have you had?
This is my first, so we'll make this one last.
That's
but I am
awesome.
so ready to get
Yeah.
this going.
So today, let's talk about a little bit how Entitled came to be. Let's share a bit about ourselves and where we came from, aside from the fact that we came from our mamas, but what our backgrounds are and maybe what we can look forward to in our Entitled podcast.
Yeah, it's been a journey. I know for both of us, right?
Journey Bernie right here.
Journey Bernie. And, just like I'm sure everybody guessed since we were little ones, this is our, dream career we've thought we would end up in, right?
Yeah.
Title sales, right?
Right, yeah.
So,
that leads us into Entitled, right? So we call it Entitled because you and I both work in the title industry,
Yep.
which a lot of people don't probably realize, and many of our listeners probably know what title is. 'Cause
Yes.
it's going to be the real estate industry, but
Yeah, the listeners and probably both of us included for the first couple of years of our career, right?
Yeah.
Here's in this business it's tough, especially getting started. When we started, here's your stack of business cards.
right.
Good
Pat
luck.
on the back, have a good time out
Good luck,
there.
go get it,
Go get
right?
it. Yeah.
So-
About you, David, what did you do before we got into this? I know your story, but many people may
So
not.
I worked in the telecom industry, managing a big call center here locally, and it was good. It was I would say that was my first. I'd call that real career growing up.
Yeah.
Adulting, as
Yeah.
my daughter would say.
It's probably a good move that you got into the title industry because are there even call centers anymore? Isn't it robocalling now?
It would be a call center that is the size of my office
Yeah.
with just 100 phones in
Yeah.
it. You're 100% correct.
Yeah.
So, but it was good. It was good learning opportunity. It just got to the point where it just wasn't working for me. Kids were young. I was doing a lot of traveling and stumbled into this just like many of our
Everybody.
other peers do in
Yeah.
this industry, right? Stumbled into it.
My family still doesn't really understand what I do, but
We're definitely not describing what we do hanging out in a bar with a bunch of friends, right?
no.
Yeah. We're in the real estate space.
We're in the real estate space. I call it real estate closing services. So anybody who's bought or sold a home, has done anything on a refi, anything like that is probably involved with the title company at some point.
Yep.
Yeah.
Whether they realize it or not.
Yeah.
Right?
So our fun little tongue-in-cheek Entitled, because we work in title, and let's
Yep.
just say there could be some other
There's some other hidden meanings
other
with
hidden
that, right?
meanings.
Right? Yeah. Wink, wink.
wink, wink. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
but yeah, I've been doing it for 18 years.
Yeah.
Love it. Keeps on new challenges
For sure.
every single day.
I mean,
every
how
part
many
of the
different
business.
markets we've been through.
A lot of roller coasters.
I think it's funny too because both of us have been in the same space for you're 18, 19 years, I'm
Yep.
22, 23 years, and we used to compete with each other.
and we all compete with each other, right? Everybody in
Yeah.
the space, but we
both
directly
cut our,
competed
yeah,
with
we
each
both
other.
cut our teeth in the same
Yeah.
business, doing the same thing, getting our
Yep.
box of business cards and hitting the streets.
Yep.
Yeah.
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 So, but what about you? What's a little bit of your backstory?
Moved to Arizona in 2000 from the San Francisco Bay Area. So I'm born and raised in California and came out here and I worked in the hardware industry for a system integrator. So I was a VP of marketing and business development there. And I was there for about 3 or 4 years and it kind of ran its course. And believe it or not, I had a place and one of my good friends at the time had a friend moving to Phoenix. And she asked if, can my friend stay in a room in your house until she finds a place to live? I said, yeah, absolutely. And so she ended up being a lender at Washington Mutual.
See?
And how funny is that, right? So temporary little border in my condo. And she was like, you'd make a great marketing rep in the title industry. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll do that until I figure out my next move. And, fast forward 22 years, started off at the ground level. I actually door knocked title companies to get my first gig.
Wow.
Yeah, I did. I
and
did.
it all comes back, right?
And it all
Door
came full
knocking.
circle. But let's just be real. Like when this first started, it was a much different industry, much
Yes.
different game, a much different way to compete, a way to engage in the real estate space.
Yes.
In a way, it was easier, but in a way, it was much, much harder. So, like I said, I kind of transitioned into that, door knocked some title companies, got a gig as a sales executive. And, here I am 22 years later, getting to be arm in arm with you at
Yes.
Lawyers Title.
Right. Well, and it's funny because we both, I don't know if I said it, but same for me. We were both thinking this is a great transition job
That's right.
until I find what I
Yes.
want to do next.
Exactly.
My next last job.
Next last job.
Yeah.
It's been a
and
fun
look,
journey.
It brings us both in.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know what, too? It's a rewarding industry. I mean,
Yes.
and I think one of the reasons why when we decided to kind of put forth this idea of this podcast was there's so many great business people in the real estate space. There's so many good entrepreneurs. There's so many good leaders. And I think at the surface, it looks as though real estate is just people buying and selling houses and somebody representing them.
Yeah.
But if you really get to do what we do, you learn so much about business, about leadership, about sales, by getting to work in this industry. It's like I feel like I got a degree working in this business.
Yeah, I mean, some days I almost feel like I am a realtor.
Yeah.
Without being a realtor.
Yeah.
And that's the great part of it. And like you said, so many different aspects to it, into the industry. It's not just the realtor, the lending side, the home warranty side, the
Absolutely.
home inspection side. There's
All
so
the
many
parties to the
all the
transaction
parties.
are an industry unto themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's
Exactly.
it's very fun. It's very rewarding. It's very, you got to have the discipline to really do it well
Oh, yeah.
in any one of those sectors of this industry, right? Whether you're a realtor, work in the title industry, if you're a home inspector, for the most part, you're all entrepreneurs, even though we work for a big corporation.
Exactly.
We work for a Fortune 300 company,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, we're all running our own little Starbucks, and, we better make sure we have cups and coffee, and we better be able to sell.
We can't overcomplicate it. You know what I mean?
Well said.
There's a simplicity to it, and that's what everybody in the individual industries, that's what we need to work on.
Yeah. So, in terms of us putting together our podcast, what's something that you're really looking forward to in terms of our series with Entitled?
Well, first of all, I feel like it's almost like a long time coming, but it wasn't. You know what I mean? It's not like you and I for the past 2, 3, 4 years, whatever, have been sitting around like, oh, I can't wait to start it. But I feel like in a way, minus the mics, minus the table, we do this.
Yeah.
We do this every day.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've ended a lot of conversations about business strategy with, well, we are entitled.
Yes. Yeah. No, the title has definitely come up a lot, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
been used in multiple conversations. So, I mean, obviously that was a no-brainer when we decided to do this. What I'm really
Well, it was a Bernie brainer.
It was a Bernie brainer, yeah. What I'm really looking forward to is meeting the people, not
Yeah.
just their title.
Well, I think that the coolest thing, again, kind of goes back to so many great leaders and entrepreneurs, enterprise level thinkers in this business space that happens to be real estate, that we're going to get to meet some of these folks, their teams, or even individuals that bring products or services to the space and get to know them as an individual.
Yep.
I mean, learn the origin stories, like how they came to be where they're at. I mean,
Right.
everybody today that is, there's so many folks that are on national circuits. They're getting, sponsorships and things like that. And to learn about how they started and what their influences could be for people just like you and I, or
Yeah.
getting to know them personally and getting to understand the other sides to them.
Yeah, I mean, it's 20, 25 years ago, it was open the door, lock the door.
Yep.
Let the client in,
Yep.
see the client out. There's so much more to it now. People are
Oh my
involved in
gosh.
so many more different pieces, and some of it even outside of real estate, but bringing that piece into real estate.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you bring up a great point. Like, look at all the evolutions that our real estate space has experienced just in the time we've been in it. Yeah. Like, I crack up when I'm out there and I talk to people and I'm like, oh, I've been in it for 20 years. Or even in our company, we've got people that have been doing this for 40 years, 30 years.
Yeah.
And so you think about the markets that we've seen in our 20-ish years each. That's been a lot in and of itself. Like even the last 3 years of what we've seen in the real estate space.
Yeah, and we've also seen people cycle out of the business,
Yep,
right?
yep.
So that's why it's,
That natural like EOL end of
attrition.
life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
either end of the career, and
Yeah.
I mean, there's tons of different situations. Business models change.
Yeah.
There's so many different aspects to it, which cause it to evolve or to I'm done,
Yeah.
and that's okay.
It's okay. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, and that you have that factor and then all the different things that are impacting real estate today. It's an economic impact.
Yep.
It's a legislature impact.
Yeah.
It is a consumer impact.
Yeah.
Like consumer, I mean, what's happening in the world really affects whether or not people want to buy or sell houses.
And there's so many different attributing factors
That's
to
right.
it, right? That before we didn't look at.
That's right.
You don't like the linoleum? Okay, we're not buying that house. You know what I mean? That was the factor 25 years ago. Now it's, well, I don't know. The medicine I buy on Amazon now has a new tariff, so I don't know if I should be buying a house right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so many different things.
Yeah, well, that's a great point right there. Again, back to all this evolution that we've seen in the real estate space, like the things that impact what happens in our little,
Yeah.
sub-economy, so to speak, that's actually a pretty big impact on the economy.
The bubble's just huge now.
Yeah.
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 And and people outside the industry sometimes think that we're resistant to that, and we're
Right.
not. It
Yeah.
affects all aspects. Of
Yeah.
it.
Well, and I think what's really cool about us kind of bringing some folks into the space to talk is that we're coming from a different angle of the real estate industry.
Yes.
We don't come from the angle of me and you are out there trying to get we're not representing buyers and sellers per se, but we get to have this other perspective, this other insight into what's happening in the entire industry. Because when you talk to an agent producer, a lot of times they have their personal experience. They have their experience of what's happening in their bubble of their business. Where you and I mean, we're a top 10 closing entity in all of Greater Phoenix.
Yeah.
We see what's happening in the market. We see what's happening with hundreds of agents every single month, if not 1,000.
Yeah, and being that the bubble is so big for us, it's different in every area.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
All the different
What
micro
affects-
pockets.
Yeah, exactly. The way business is done, and let's be honest, our side of the industry, it's not sexy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's we try and make it that and exciting.
It's pretty fierce.
It's fierce.
It's
yes,
fiercely
100%.
competitive. I
Yeah.
mean, if you look at the population of Greater Phoenix compared to the number of title companies we
Right.
have here,
It's crazy.
It is crazy. I
Yeah.
mean, and even representing our brand, Lawyers Title and Grand Canyon Title, I mean, at the end of the day, there's still another 248 other entities out there.
Yep.
And then I think, 4 of them are under our same ticker symbol.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, but it's grown so much,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
And people thinking outside the box more.
Right.
What can I do more?
Yeah.
What can I change in my business? What can I add to my business? Different
Yeah.
things like that.
And it's so true because everyone's always looking for that next level of innovation for their business. But how many times do we talk about really this space is about discipline and basics,
Yeah.
foundational skills.
Yeah, you can't ignore what got you to
Right.
what got you there.
Yeah.
And adding things to it is great, but let's
Yeah.
not forget what we started on.
That's right. Well, and that's what I think is going to be a fun theme throughout our Entitled podcast
Yes.
is getting to learn where people are today. I mean, we have some mega successful realtor agent entities in our market. I mean, that compare to national statistics with agents throughout the country.
100%.
I mean, we have a lot of practitioners here in Arizona that are at that top 1%
Right.
nationally, but then to learn really where they came from and how they got into it. And so many of the really successful folks in our business have really great stories.
Yeah, and what changes did they see? Because some
Yeah.
of them have the blinders on. You know what I mean? I focus on what I do.
That's right.
And my success,
Yeah.
my team's success, my brokerage success, whatever that may involve.
Yeah.
And especially in this day and age of teams and brokerages, even if you compare brokerages to back when you and I started, I mean, I could count on my hands and feet the brokerages I'd be visiting. Now, someone says a name, I'm like, is that one that just opened yesterday?
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? So they're starting up everywhere. But, that's what'll be interesting talking to the guests that we'll have
sure.
on.
The landscape.
Do they have the blinders on or are they involved?
Yeah. Well, I love that comparison to when we first hit the streets compared to where the market looks like now in terms of just being out there and having visibility and presence because I had my milk route. I knew which brokerages, which offices that I could pop by where I would see people. There'd be people in the offices. There would always be somebody on floor duty.
Floor duty. Somebody going to paper offices,
Yes.
all
And-
that old school.
And now I see more of a presence and a surge of teams that have like offices and location, and now very strategic with brick and mortar in terms of being kind of part of like in some pockets like a Mayberry of sorts, right? Like you want to be part of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I see kind of a little bit of a comeback for that compared to back in the day, but it's still not the same as
No.
being able to just pop into offices and find a bunch of agents in productive mode.
Well, and it's not the same for the people we're referring to either for their clients.
Right.
The general consumer out there is way different.
Right.
I mean, what
It's
do
a
you
lot
mean?
smarter.
So you're looking for a big yard. Why would I want to do yard maintenance? No,
Yeah.
I just need a house and
Yeah.
I don't even need a garage.
Yeah.
It's just different on the consumer side.
For sure. Well, I think it'll be great too to learn from our agent community, like how they go about, all those obstacles and hurdles and figuring out which like weapons of mass distraction actually make sense for their business. Cause there's so much out there from a technology standpoint, from like all the bells and whistles and that ability to like decide like what you're going to, focus on for your business. It's just such a different landscape. It's full of a lot of different things.
Well,
It's like find those pictures where you have to find all the objects like
Well, it's the same in our business.
Right.
I mean, we tell our team all the time as we have new salespeople join the team and everything, don't get caught up.
Yeah.
We know we have too many
There's
resources.
a lot of stuff.
There's great resources,
Yes.
but there's a lot.
There's a lot of stuff.
Right.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of goes back to what we've been saying here about, having a business consultation and talking to that realtor practitioner and understanding that they're a business person.
Yeah.
And figuring out how to help them in their business.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really cool thing about Entitled is that we'll be able to kind of share more of that piece of it too, as opposed to just being real estate closing services.
Right.
We're actually trying to we do our best to bring value and resources to the agent community.
Yeah.
I think we're a big part of that.
I agree. And, obviously, we're going to get a lot of people in the industry, that will hopefully, be watching and view and listening to
Maybe
our podcast.
we have like 7
but,
people
at the same time, 7. at the same point, I hope it spreads a little bit to the consumer because, it's not easy for the consumer right now. I mean, what was the last count? 53,000 licensed realtors in Maricopa County.
Bananas.
So just like we're saying, we have too many, a lot of resources to choose from. So do people out there.
Yeah.
And a lot of choices sometimes creates confusion, indecisiveness. And, from watching it from just a podcast, a video frame of mind, that may maybe help them what they're looking for in the real estate industry.
Yeah, that's true. Well, and even as we have more guests that come on and tell us their story, tell us what they're seeing, even share with us, maybe a glimpse of their crystal ball, what they think is coming, that they will also, be able to share and showcase with their communities, which is AKA the buyers and sellers, and then they might get some education out of that too. Because I do think that a lot of consumers really don't know everything that's happening. I call it the underbelly of the real estate industry, I mean, I bought and sold 2 houses before I really even knew that this was an industry.
I mean, you couldn't have said that better. I mean, when me and my wife bought our first house, good God, when I got to the signing table, I'm like, what am I doing? Am I giving you my future kids? What's going on here? And I was not educated on it. You know what I mean? So do people have that experience? You know what I mean? And hopefully this will give everybody an outlet to, like you said, our guests to be able to show to your clients, hey, you're meeting me as the realtor face to face.
Right.
Go ahead and watch this and meet me, the person.
That's right. Oh, I love that.
You know what I mean? And hopefully it lets them get
like,
to know
I'm
them
a pretty
little
cool
better.
person.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Because, everybody out there is wondering, is that really how Bernie is?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
is she just like that
Well,
because we're meeting? I can vouch for everybody out there.
You've seen the good, the bad.
Yeah. Me and Bernie have been in with clients and just discussions, and this is the real Bernie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Same for you. Same for you.
But
Very
everybody has
authentic.
that question about anybody they
Yeah.
work with. I mean,
Well,
I
it's-
hire a contractor for something. I'm like,
Yeah.
he says he's going to be on time. He says he's going to be within budget. Really?
Yeah. Well, but I mean, let's add another dimension to that. Like there's social media. There's so many different ways to do recon on a person these days.
There's almost too many ways,
There's
right?
Too much.
Yeah.
Right. And so then you start to do like your research or your recon and you're wondering, because a lot of the people in the real estate space are really just represented by images on social media.
Yep.
And whether they're putting out content or not, this is an opportunity for us to really get to know them in real life, IRL. And,
Break it down a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Get
Yeah.
personal.
Yeah, totally. I love
what
that.
That's what I'm looking forward to.
I mean, let's get the Kleenex out. I want to hear the
Okay,
hard
whoa.
stories. I want to hear. We'll have
And that
plenty
is
of.
the real Bernie.
Let's get plenty of Red Bulls for
Red
you.
Bulls, yeah.
Yes.
Keep everybody jacked
yes,
up.
exactly. And me,
Yep.
just hydration
Just
station over
hydration
here.
now. Yeah. Mine's just mixed with a little
But yeah,
more.
I think that it'll be so cool to have some folks visit us and talk about where they've been, what they're doing, what they see.
Yes.
And really also sharing and showcasing the personal side of things, because a lot of the people that we'll get to talk to, we've really developed great personal relationships with too.
We have. And at some point in my career, you're hesitant on that, right? Because it's a tough business. But
it's
you
tough.
can't help but form relationships.
Yep.
If we're not forming relationships and the guests we have aren't forming relationships, that's what the real estate industry is about.
Yeah.
No matter what part of it.
Agreed. I think relationships are a huge, huge factor. And when you really think about it, hopefully relationships are important in any industry that you work in,
Yes.
right? But I do think it's funny, I moved here in 2000 and didn't know a soul. And I worked in that, hardware space. And, I worked in a factory with a bunch of folks that, were different. But
Right.
really when I developed my friendships, my personal bonds was when I got into the real estate industry.
Yeah.
And it was through people at work. It was through the realtor industry. It was just, all the networking that we do, the social events, the business events, the different trainings. You get to really have like some rooted relationships with people that develop, you know?
Well, you end up living the career.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost, not that I would want it to be, but it's almost
Yeah.
unavoidable.
Yeah.
You end up seeing people in your space where you live. You see people outside of work, and to be honest with you, I love running into clients outside
too.
of work because, again, I get to
Yeah.
meet more of the person.
Yeah.
You know what
I
I
love
mean?
when I hear from a client on a Saturday. I see the caller ID and I'm like, oh, this will be good,
Yeah,
right? Because
yeah.
if they're calling you on a Saturday, it's either for fun or they really need help with something. And I'm almost more leaning towards, I hope it's because they want to do something fun.
Right. Yeah. What are you ready to go do?
Yeah,
Where are we
exactly.
meeting? Yeah.
Exactly. But no, I think it's true. And I do think that you see, a couple different avatars of realtors out there, right? A few different ones, right? Where you've got the ones that are very socially based. They're really out there connected to the community. And then you have a lot of them that are systems and processes based and they're uber successful as
Behind
well.
the scenes.
Yes.
Yep.
And either way, it's kind of like, I think that a lot of folks that listen will be pleasantly surprised to learn that running a real estate company is not very different than running any company. You have to have a CEO. Someone's got to clean the bathroom. Somebody's, it's really still, everyone needs to wear a certain hat in order for that company, AKA Realtor X, to be successful.
Yeah. I mean, it's honestly just as close to running a household.
Yeah.
mean,
Very true.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I mean,
I have to do it all in mine.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, we have a CEO,
yeah.
and I can tell you it's not me.
Yeah. Shout out to Billy.
Yeah, shout out to Billy. And my kids. You
Yeah,
know, we have
yeah.
different levels. We know where we stand on the hierarchy.
Have you been demoted lately? Or is that what you're trying to tell us?
When my two Shih Tzus are still a little bit above me, but that's okay. You know
I
what
mean, look, I live to buy milk bones for Dos and Tress. So if it wasn't for those two, I don't know. I don't know.
Right. So, but it really is running a family, running a business.
Yep.
I mean,
Well,
you
and I
know,
think this industry offers that up to so many people in this space. They choose this space because they can be their own boss.
Yep.
But do they choose to be, do they choose to be an entrepreneur or a leader? Sometimes people are like, okay, if real estate is the airport, is it the runway or the airplane? And both work as long as you kind of have a vision for it.
Well, and it's such a good industry because anybody can make that choice at
Yes.
any time.
Yeah.
Even with another career going on,
Yeah.
it can be a light switch change.
Yeah.
And the accessibility of the resources and the ability to do it is there at
Yeah.
any time for anybody.
As long as you can go get that license.
You got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you said, sometimes to the consumers on the outside, big shiny cars and this
Right.
and that, but you're going to get to hear the true story from the people here.
For sure.
It's not all about that.
And
And,
really
and
learn-
everybody in the industry knows that.
Yeah. And I think it'll be fun because I believe that you and I always bring some great insights into what's happening statistically in the real estate market, and then getting some of these guests on here that can really talk to what they're seeing and just having fun and learning about them and getting to know them as individuals.
Right.
I'm just really super excited.
Yeah, and it gives us the opportunity to learn. Trust me, we
Oh,
don't know it all.
100,000,000%.
Yeah, I meet with people, and some of our clients like, wow, Bernie, David, they really know what they're
Oh
talking
gosh.
about.
I'm
At
just
the
an educated dummy over here.
I'm a sponge. I'm taking it all in. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's
for
well
sure.
put.
Well, what is if we're thinking about what is the number one thing you're most looking forward to? I know we said that before, but aside from getting to do this with me, what are you really looking forward to?
Honestly, it still is for me. It's the personal side of everybody
Yeah,
we bring
I'm
in.
excited
And
too.
I enjoy that on a
Yeah.
day-to-day.
Yeah.
I got to be honest. Most of the meetings I'm in, it's either 50% or more. I'm learning about them personally before
Yep.
we even touch on the business part
Yeah.
of it. Because I think that's where it starts.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well,
What about you?
I'm looking forward to the adventure. I'm looking forward to this being a different journey,
Yeah.
right? A new avenue that we've, put together. And I'm just, I'm pretty pumped up about the people that we're going to get to meet.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
and-
giving them the opportunity to give their story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And plus, what a great place we're in right now. And
Right. Right. Yeah. Do you see behind Bernie? Behind me. Look. This it's
this is
beautiful
like a
outside.
real studio.
Yeah, this is the real deal, right? This isn't
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
little broom closet
Yeah.
with some foam pads on the wall. This is the real deal.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, looking forward to this. So we're going to be on wherever you get your podcasts. And then in the most immediate future, you can find us. Thanks for watching, but you
Yes.
can find us on Entitled Podcast on starworldwidenetwork.com.
Yes.
Anything else?
No,
All right.
I can't wait.
Can't wait.
Can't wait.
Tune in for Entitled.
See you next one.